I 38M have been in construction for 20 years. I started as a labourer and worked my way up to being a senior site supervisor. 5 years ago, I went into business with Marcus 4OM. Marcus was the money and suits guy, the project manager. I was the boots on the ground, the guy who actually knows how to read a structural blueprint and manage a crew. The dynamic was always strained. Marcus is, to put it bluntly, incompetent. He grew up wealthy, got a degree in project management, but has never held a hammer in his life. He consistently underestimates material costs, promises clients impossible deadlines, and ignores my warnings about safety and structural integrity. I've spent 5 years covering for him because we were partners and because our firm, Apex Build and Design, was finally landing massive contracts. Last year, we landed our biggest job yet, a $12 million luxury apartment complex. Because I was spending 14 hours a day on site to fix Marcus's constant scheduling blunders, I started drifting from my wife, Sarah 36F. She complained I was never home. I felt guilty. So I suggested she help out at the office part-time to feel more involved in the business. Marcus agreed, saying he needed an administrative assistant. 2 weeks ago, I came home early because a concrete pour was delayed by rain. Sarah wasn't home, but our iPad was sitting on the kitchen island, buzzing incessantly. It was a string of messages from Marcus. I didn't even have to unlock it. The notifications showed everything. They weren't just having an affair, they were mocking me. Marcus was laughing about how I was slaving away in the mud while he was taking my wife to 5-star hotels on the company credit card. Sarah was telling him she couldn't wait for the big payout so they could leave me and start their own firm. The big payout referred to the completion bonus of the apartment complex. If we finished on time and under budget, Marcus and I would each see a 7-figure bonus. I didn't confront them immediately. I went to a lawyer first. I found out that because of our partnership agreement, if I quit, I'd lose my equity. If I sued for divorce now, Marcus and Sarah would likely use the company assets to fight me. So, I went back to the site. The next morning, Marcus came by the site in his pristine white truck and designer work boots. He started barking orders about speeding up the load-bearing wall installation to meet a milestone. He wanted to skip the secondary inspection because it costs too much time. Normally, I would have fought him. I would have spent all night double-checking the rebar and ensuring the pour was perfect. Instead, I looked him in the eye and said, "You're the project manager, Marcus. If you say it's good to go, it's good to go. I'll focus on the landscaping plans instead." I stopped covering. I stopped fixing his math. I stopped staying late to reroute the plumbing he'd mapped out through a literal support beam. I did exactly and only what was written in his fraud project logs. Yesterday, the city inspector came for the major structural walkthrough. The project failed spectacularly. The drainage was backflowed, the HVAC was a fire hazard, and the structural supports were off by 3 inches because Marcus had ordered the wrong gauge steel and I didn't notice. The developer pulled the contract immediately, invoking a negligence clause. The company is now facing millions in liquidated damages. We are bankrupt. Last night, I served Sarah the divorce papers and handed Marcus a folder containing the screenshots from the iPad. Marcus was screaming that I destroyed his life, and that as the supervisor, I had a fiduciary duty to catch those mistakes. He's threatening to sue me for professional negligence, claiming I intentionally let the project fail to spite him. Sarah is hysterical, calling me a monster for throwing away our entire future and our home just because I was jealous. My parents think I went too far. They say I destroyed my own reputation along with his, and that I should have just finished the job, taken the money, and then divorced her. Now I'm sitting in a motel, my career in tatters, but watching Marcus lose every penny of the payout he was so excited about. AITA. Edit 1. To clarify, I didn't create the errors. I simply stopped being the safety net. Every single error was a direct result of Marcus's signed orders, that I had previously been quietly correcting for years. Edit 2. My lawyer says, since I followed the PM's signed directives and have a paper trail of me flagging these issues in emails, which Marcus ignored, his negligent suit likely won't hold water, but the company is definitely dead. Me Leo, 3 Forum. I'll admit, I was a grumpy person. I was running a small trading education business while trying to day trade our savings. The stress was eating me alive. I was 30 pounds overweight, lived in grey sweatpants, and was constantly staring at 4 monitors with a permanent scowl. Ex-wife Maya, 3-F, always cared about appearances. She loved the idea of a successful trader husband, but hated the reality of the grind. Liam, 3 Forum, my best friend since college. He was the fun guy, always ready with a joke while I was stuck analyzing charts. Jackson Ben, 3 Forum, my hometown brothers. No-nonsense guys who own a gym and a landscaping firm back in my small town. A year ago, I was at my lowest. My trading business was stagnating, and my own P&L was a sea of red. I was irritable, exhausted, and probably not the best husband. I thought Maya was just tired of the stress, too. I found out the truth when I came home early for a trading seminar. I walked in on Maya and Liam in our bed. The worst part. Liam looked at me and said, "Look at yourself, Leo, you're a shell of a man." She deserves someone who actually lives life, not someone chasing candles on a screen. I didn't explode. I didn't even yell. I felt empty. I called Jax and Ben that night. I told them everything. They told me to pack a bag and come home. I handed my trading accounts and the keys to my education business over to them to manage the admin side. They aren't traders, but they are honest men who I knew wouldn't let the lights go out. I wiped my slate clean and moved back to my hometown for a month. That month saved my life. Jax put me on a brutal 5 a.m. lifting circuit. Ben had me doing manual labor for his landscaping crew just to get me out of my head and into the sun. In the evenings, away from the toxic environment of my old apartment, my mind cleared. I stopped revenge trading and started studying the macro environment. I saw the signals. The global economy was shifting, and I realized we were on the verge of a massive gold bull run. I spent my nights refining my strategy until it was surgical. When I moved back to the city, I didn't call Maya. I didn't check Liam's socials. I went into monk mode. Then, the gold market exploded. Last year, while everyone was panicking, I was positioned perfectly. My small business turned into a powerhouse as my students saw the gains I was calling. I made more in 6 months than I had in the previous 10 years combined. I bought a house in cash, got tailored suits, and kept the fitness routine Jax taught me. I went from grumpy, bloated day trader to composed, sharp professional. Last night was the local Founders and Funds Gala charity fundraiser I used to attend, looking like a disheveled mess. I showed up in a charcoal 3-piece suit, 25 pounds lighter, and with a confidence I never knew I had. Halfway through the night, I felt a hand on my arm. It was Maya. She looked tired. Liam was nowhere to be seen. She started crying almost immediately, telling me how inspiring it was to see me like this. She confessed that Liam was a mistake, that he had no drive, no stability, and they had broken up months ago when his fungi persona turned into unemployed loser persona. She actually said, "Leo, I know you were going through a hard time, and I should have been there. Can we just talk? I miss the life we were building." I looked at her, then at the $50,000 donation check I had just handed to the board, and I just smiled. I told her, "You didn't want the Leo who was struggling in the trenches, so you don't get the Leo who made it to the top." I'm not grumpy anymore, Maya. I'm just finished with you. I walked away to join my friends. Now, her family is blowing up my phone, calling me arrogant and saying I'm flaunting my wealth to punish a woman who made one mistake during a rough patch in our marriage. They say I'm an orph for not having mercy now that I'm successful. David, 41M, a software architect. I'm the guy who built the entire infrastructure for Nexus Financial. I'm a workaholic according to some, but I've spent 15 years ensuring this company had a second of downtime. Wife Elena, 38F, a high-level recruiter. She's charming, social, and always complained that my tech talk was boring. The rival Julian, to 9M, the CEO's son. Incompetent, arrogant, and obsessed with disrupting the systems I built. He viewed me as a dinosaur, despite the fact that I'm the only one who knows how the legacy code works. For the last decade, I've been the backbone of Nexus. I worked through vacations and missed anniversaries, always telling Elena it was to secure our future. I thought we were a team. I was wrong. Last month, Julian was promoted to CTO, a position I was promised. He immediately started restructuring, which was just code for trying to push me out, so he could take credit for the new cloud migration I'd been planning for years. I found out about the betrayal through a security audit I ran on my own. I discovered a series of ghost accounts in our payroll system. These accounts were funneling small, nearly undetectable amounts of money into an offshore holding company. When I traced the access logs, I realized the login credentials used were mine. Julian had framed me, but he wasn't smart enough to do it alone. He needed access to my home office and my physical security keys. That's when I saw the messages on Eleanor's laptop. She hadn't just been sleeping with Julian. She had been coached by him. She was the one who swiped my hardware tokens while I was sleeping so he could bypass my encryption. They were planning to discover the embezzlement the day after the cloud migration, get me fired and arrested, and then Elena would file for divorce, taking half of the settlement Julian promised her from his father's company. I didn't report them to HR. In this company, the CEO would protect his son and burn me anyway. Instead, I spent 2 weeks becoming a ghost in my own system. I realized that Julian's restructuring relied entirely on a piece of proprietary middleware I had written and patented personally before I even joined the firm. The company had a license to use it, but the license agreement which I drafted 15 years ago had a keyman clause. If my employment was terminated for any reason other than voluntary resignation, the license revoked instantly. I spent those 2 weeks quietly migrating all the company's vital data into a secondary, encrypted partition that only my specific biometric hash could unlock. I wasn't stealing it. I was securing it against the very ghost accounts Julian had created. 2 days ago, they made their move. Julian walked into my office with 2 security guards and his father. He revealed the embezzlement evidence. Elena was there too, acting devastated for the cameras. The CEO told me I was fired and that they were calling the police. I just nodded, grabbed my coat, and said, "Check the license agreement for the Nexus core gate." And Julian, good luck with the migration. The second I was escorted out, the system hit a logic bomb I had set. Because my employment was terminated, the proprietary license expired. The entire server farm, everything from client data to the payroll Julian was stealing from, went into an encrypted hibernation. The company has been offline for 48 hours. They are losing roughly $2 million an hour. Julian has been calling me 50 times an hour, screaming that I'm committing industrial sabotage. Elena has been texting me from a burner phone, begging me to think about our life together, and saying she can explain everything if I just give Julian the master key. She even tried to claim she was undercover trying to catch Julian, which is a total lie. I told them that I didn't sabotage anything. I simply followed the legal contract. If they want the data back, they have to sign a full legal release of all claims against me, pay out my 15-year pension in a lump sum, and issue a public statement that the embezzlement was a clerical error found by Julian. My brother says I'm an A4 basically holding a multi-billion-dollar company hostage and that I'm destroying the livelihoods of the other 500 employees. He says I should have just cleared my name and left quietly.